Welcome to Being a Successful Leader with Carl Welty. Carl is a leadership pioneer with years of challenging leadership and consulting experience. Here's Carl with some valuable insights, practical and proven methods for being a successful leader.
Greetings, everybody. Carl Welty here, your host for the ongoing podcast series, Being a Successful Leader. We have a 15 minutes to a half hour episode every week, and the topic, of course, is on leadership. The series is built around my 3 leadership imperatives. Leadership begins with you, being a self-aware and skillful leader. And then you need a sound strategy, both the identity, why we exist, our purpose, and what we stand for, our core values. And then you move out and launch and have a sound strategy that encompasses also setting a direction, which is what I call a translatable vision, a vision you can drive off of to set a strategic path, your collection of your critical few strategic initiatives, and then a master plan that you use as your ongoing blotter, so to speak, to keep track of things, and then the actions. And then the final thing is you need people to rally around your sound strategy, and that's building a culture of commitment. Now, for each of these 3 imperatives, I have a book for each. And I like the idea of talking about this, and then you have resources to go to dwell further into the subject or to continue to use on an ongoing basis. You can get a look at my books and order them if you care to on welty.com. And then you click on leadership resources, click on books, and then you can see the 3 books there and a little blurb on each, and then how to order them through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or the publisher Ewing's Publishing. Also, these podcasts are you can access them anytime by going to the provider, and that's the webtalkradio.net, webtalkradio.net. And this is our 48th podcast. You can catch all previous 47 on that website, and you click on channels, and then go down to leadership in the workplace, and then click on my icon, being a successful leader, and then pick out whatever past podcasts that you want to review again or hear for the first time. So the resources are all there for you, and we talk about it. And then those that you want to interested in to dwell further or review, you have resources to do that. Okay. The topic today is continuous performance management. What is that? Continuous performance management. That's an alternative that's slowly getting some traction, and it's an alternative to the dreaded annual traditional performance review or performance appraisal, a procedure that's equally dreaded by both the leader manager and the associate. So I'd like to review today some of the ways you can develop a continuous performance management process, or if you have to work around your organization's performance review structure, and to make the best of that by using what we're going to talk about here. Okay. Continuous performance management. It differs from the traditional approach, again, this annual review approach, in significant ways. The primary difference between continuous performance management and the traditional approach is continuous performance management is a ongoing process conducted in real time rather than an annual event with a given format and schedule. It's an ongoing process, and you'll begin to see, if you've tracked this program for a while, you'll know what we're going to be talking about in the near future here about using these practices that we've highly recommended throughout our series. Okay, so the another difference is that it's meant to be owned by local line management. In other words, the continuous performance management, the leader manager, it's a tool, an ongoing process for that leader manager, and the leader manager associate teams. The traditional approach, talk a little bit about that. Some of the elements of the traditional approach is that it's born out on a need to force leader managers to let their associates know where they stand. We got to let them know where they stand, because we can't trust them to, on their own to do that. Another feature of the traditional approach is that it's organization driven. Another is that the format typically is designed by human resources. And the format is often poorly designed. It doesn't focus on position, role, and responsibilities, focuses more on review and not planning and review, just the review portion. And the planning should include both personal goals and developmental goals, as well as discussing where we're at in each of the elements of the current position. Another feature of the traditional performance management, or performance review, I should say, it focuses on it forces the leader to be more of a judge versus a coach. And this is an important distinction here. You want to, as a leader manager, and all the things we've talked about in this series, equip you to be the coach and not a judge. And the once a year review, you have to rate and rank and all that kind of stuff and judge. And if you haven't had this ongoing continuous performance management approach, that's a very, very difficult situation for both of you. Another element of traditional performance management or performance review, it conforms to an organization-wide schedule. And the form is then completed locally and passed up the line for review. I believe the answer here is to have a quality individual performance planning and review process. Continuous performance management is not through requiring leader managers to fill out forms on an organization-wide basis on an annual schedule, but to have it be an ongoing process and to equip the leader managers to, number one, assure that shared expectations exist between the leader manager and each of their associates, individual roles and responsibilities and authorities. And then also to have an ongoing performance coaching conversations between the leader manager and the associate. So it's an ongoing kind of thing, talking about performance, no surprises. And it's just the way we do business. Now, in order to have this approach of continuous performance management occur, where you have clarification of roles and responsibilities and ongoing performance coaching, the organization needs to make it a performance requirement that their leader managers have this approach of clarity, of shared expectations and ongoing performance coaching. It's required of them. And they also need quality training and performance coaching training. And then the third thing is then the organization needs to make performance matter, that the leader managers really use this as a modus operandi. Now, this series and my related books that I mentioned equip you, the leader manager, to use continuous performance management, either as that's what you do, or if you have an existing requirement that you have a particular structure and form and schedule and so forth, you can also use continuous performance management to kind of work with or work around, if you will, that system and make it more work for you. Okay, so the heart of the continuous performance management using my vehicles that we talked about is the position plan. That's the foundation. And the position plan we talked about throughout the series, and you can find it in the building commitment book and the clarity building block, clarity. And the position plan is a wonderful way to define the role and ongoing set of results that a position and those reporting to it, if there are any people reporting to it, are organized to achieve. The position plan, excellent. It focuses on results and activities, unlike the traditional performance description or definition, which are practically worthless. And it talks about roles and responsibilities and defining them and how to do that. And the methodology is all spelled out there in the book and in the past episodes that you could look at on position planning. And it's an ongoing process. It's meant to be a living, working document. It's meant to, as issues arise, you resolve those issues and perhaps plow the resolution into the position plan. And the position plan, after a while, when you've used it and you have coffee stains and so forth, you just kind of refresh it, type it up again, and refresh it, and there you go. It's, again, it results in not activities used on an ongoing basis. And the way to do this is we talked about one-on-one meetings throughout this series. And it's a little bit of work at the start, yeah, but boy, what a reward. And some of the benefits are the conversations you have with your associate, not so much the piece of paper that results in this, although that's valuable too. And the one-on-one meetings, if you're just starting out on position planning, of course, study it by looking at the book and lots of examples in there and structure. And then in the position plan, we have the basic structure is to have a purpose. What is the purpose? Why does this position exist? Tack that down. And then a set of performance requirements. And in performance requirements, we start off with identifying the key result areas, the KRAs. What are the key result areas for this position? Again, we're talking about accountability, not just responsibility, but just not that position, but the whole organization that reports to it, if any, subordinates. And then the key result areas, if the person is a leader manager, they automatically get a leader management key result area. Then the balance of the few that may be altogether, maybe 3, 4, or 5 key result areas are what we call technical work key result areas. So then you talk about the accountability results for that leader manager with those technical. So you have leader management key result areas, and then whatever the appropriate technical key result areas are. And you can do this in one-on-one meetings. These every 3 week, 1-2 hour meetings that you have that I highly recommend it one-on-one, and you begin to build it. You just one meeting the purpose, and the next meeting take a key result area and define the objective. That's part of the structure. What's the objective of this particular key result area? And then as time goes on, you develop the desired outcomes, the evidences when success is achieved in this particular key result area to make that objective. And you can do this in pencil and just make notes and so forth. And eventually when you get enough done, type the thing up, and there you go. And very rich conversations. It's going to be with you on an ongoing basis. So that's the foundation for a continuous performance management process. And I don't know how you can have a really quality ongoing performance management process without that foundation there. And this is the way to do it. Also, you'd want to talk about authorities, and we talked about authorities in this series, and that delegation. We hit that heavy. Delegation is an investment, not a way to shirk work, to get rid of work. An investment in the individual, and you're going to coach them and develop them, whatever you're delegating. And if it's a key result area or a whole set of responsibilities, you'll find that the position plan will help you in that regard. So the role responsibilities, the authorities, and then on an ongoing basis, performance coaching. And those are the tools that you have there. And with those in hand, you can develop your continuous performance management system that'll work for you. And again, if you require to use an organization-wide process, you can improve that and work around it, if you will. Now, some recommendations: if you have to live with an organization-driven performance review or appraisal process, use the tools we just talked about on an ongoing basis. Improve the construct that you're required to use by following and making a vehicle that summarizes your ongoing continuous performance management process. Use the construct as performance planning and review, and not just review. Use it to plan in terms of, in addition to discussing how it's going in each of these key result areas, you're going to have a goal setting process that entails both the critical few business goals for the upcoming planning horizon, and also the personal development goals. So you have your discussion of the ongoing results in the key result areas, and then also a goal setting, both business and personal development. And make the position KRAs, key result areas, serve as your performance summary focus. Make it both a planning, as we said, as well as a review process, and to incorporate personal development in that. So those are some of the ways you can work with or around a structure if you have to use that and improve that and make it work for you. And again, if you can influence an organization-wide structure, move it towards building that process into a planning and review process, not just a review process, and include goal setting in that, both personal development and business, and build the review of how it's going around the key result areas. I've done this with organizations. It works very, very well when they want an organization-wide process. Okay, so in summary here, the concepts and tools presented in our series and in the books that provide the foundation for these discussions provide you with the requisite insights and practical and proven know-how on how to have an ongoing continuous performance management in lieu of a required annual review, a judgment process, making you a coach more than a judge. And again, if you're obligated to use an organization-wide process, we talk about ways you can make that better for you and your associate. And again, if you have the authority to move your organization process to more of a continuous performance management, go for it, please. And what's happening is that what we're talking about here is not a pie in the sky idea. It's happening. The death of the annual dreaded performance review is slowly dying from all indications I get. And in its place is a continuous performance management process. And again, to make it work, leaders need to make it a performance requirement for their leader managers, that they actually tack down the ongoing role and responsibility authorities and have ongoing performance coaching. Okay, so there you go. Now, next week, a little preview here, we'll talk about planning and managing your larger projects. We discussed project planning. It's in my book, Making and Fulfilling Your Dreams as a Leader. And we'll emphasize the larger projects here. I have some ideas on that if you get involved in larger projects, especially cross-functional projects of this nature, I've got some recommendations where you can use what we've already discussed and make it work and tailored for you in these larger projects, okay? So that's it for this week. You have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.